This is just AMZN on Wednesday, February 5th, 2020. And looking at the 5 minute here, get an idea of how things move today. Just kind of looking at the couple lines that we interacted with. Just the horizontal one here, 20-50-50 that we've had on here. And then somehow the downtrend channel that we drew days ago and just kind of copied up to the next range. It totally bounced there today, which is just really crazy to see that happened. Really strong hammer, or more of like a dragonfly activity, another hammer, high wave candle, this being like a stair step, inside candles, and then started to go bullish. And that retraced, I thought it was going to retrace right back into 2050. Instead, it comes right in to 2050 on this push up, 2050 and 68, and then rolled over and started making this triangle. Let me draw what I'm seeing. So I'm seeing this triangle. I can draw straight like this, and then like this. Nope, a little lower, like that. And that made a really nice consolidation with a squeeze down here. Consolidated, actually made an inverted hammer. This candle right here, inverted hammer. Sorry, you can't even see that now. Inverted hammer here. After it made an inverted hammer here. And then the next candle was bullish. And at this point, it's like, okay, it's probably going to come in here again. That's your first target. And then it ended up pushing past, which I couldn't really tell why it was selling off right here. I mean, it didn't really do that yesterday, did it? Yeah, okay, it did. Sold off the same price into the end of the day here and here, and had a decent move today. The move that it made yesterday came right back into 2050, and then aftermarket made a bigger move down here, which is really where it sold off to today. Pretty close anyway, not looking dollar for dollar. But how to trade this? The hammer, inverted hammer here, made it seem really indecisive right into 2050. And it just really had a bit of a consolidation. Sorry, let me start up here. Bullish retest gap. So we gapped up here and then we faded. We came right back down, right into 2050 and bounced, and then came back down again, pushed a little bit past a little bit of a lower close on this candle, and then recovered, but on its way back up, and so it got sold back down. Let me switch over to the 3 minute because I think it's a little cleaner looking at the 3 minute. And this just soon is going to mess up these lines, this downtrend channel, just because I was switching over to this earlier, and it somehow it shows this spacing. I think it's just where the points are snapping to. It's actually a different angle that it takes, just because the lines they're just not as clean on a 3 minute, or they weren't drawn on a 3 minute, so they snap differently on a 3 minute or 5 minute. But anyway, okay, just zooming in on the day, you can see some of these moves. High wave candle here, high wave candle breaking down, a really nice 3 minute hammer. We really need to move above these highs here, and we don't. Come right down into this, put another hammer down here. At this point, we made a lower low, and okay, great, let's get going again. It actually comes back up in here and looks like it could go bullish, but again, we need to get above here, and this isn't enough for it to push up above 2050. Taking a bullish here, it just didn't work. It didn't continue higher. Immediately pulls back further, takes out these three bullish candles, and then continues lower. And again, it continued right down into this channel, or at least retesting into that channel, and then bounced there. And that's where it started to triangle and just consolidate all day long. So I think just with these indecision candles, knowing this was a retest, it's like, okay, let it retest, give it its time to do that. And again, if we just sketch in what's going on here, like all of this is a retest, and then this is just consolidating all day long and just waiting, being super patient, letting this play out. It really gave you a nice place to get in as it started to break out, of this range, or even this range if you waited till longer for it to go bullish. It came right back into that level, put in a nice little flag here, and then continued on up. And it was a nice move. From here to here is similar to kind of the open range, from here to here, similar enough. I always want to see kind of the range that it does when it starts the triangle to at least be what it does, either breaking out or kind of, if you include where it was bouncing off from last. And I think we got that. And then it retested, had a really nice retest, really nice hammer right here. It started to go bullish, but again, we're below 2050-50. And, we just kept selling off from 2050-50 all day, except for this one time. Once we were below it, sorry. Once we were above it, we didn't really technically we got below it here, but not as much as these, like being below it already. So anyway, I know I'm looking at 3 minute. Normally I look at a 5 minute. I just thought diving in a little deeper to 3 minute, you could see some more things going on. If I switch back to a 5, it'll clean up those channels. And actually, while we're looking at these, let me do something here. I'm just going to copy this again. I'm going to duplicate this and drop it right there. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do it again for tomorrow. Let's see if we do something up here again. There we go, like that. So looking at where that was for today, and obviously I should have done that yesterday. High wave candle right on that downtrend channel. Breaks down, comes back up, doesn't get back up to it, gets right back up to that high wave candle. You could have been entering that on this and a stop here, and that would have been good. Rolls back down right into the downtrend channel, and then does it go straight back up? Nope. It starts to go up and goes sideways literally all day. Like we're into another kind of like consolidation where we go sideways for 3 hours. Is this one 3 hours? And this was 4 hours. Wow, 4 hours going sideways. And then finally break out. We find this was the bullish move in the trend, in the downtrend, and this was the bearish move in the downtrend. So obviously, down is kind of the edge right now, and even though we've seen it go back up. This was an up move. This was an up move. Actually, this was probably the closest to what we did today, where we nearly bounced down here and then we went sideways for such a long time. This was going sideways for like hours or so, and then poked up into the channel right here. And today, obviously we're going down, but once we bounced, went sideways for like 3 hours. Triangled for like 3 hours after the bounce, and then pushed higher right into the channel. So I've seen some similarities from this yesterday in the morning to today, pretty much midday into the mid-afternoon. So anyway, looking at puts, we'll look at some puts selling right at the open, buying puts right at the open. And buying calls down in here. Let's see what we could have been doing. So let's look at puts first because that's where we opened. This is the 2025 put expiring this week. And this was the candle that it retraced at 8:45 on the 5 minute. Getting it would have been like 5x4. And sure, let's see. That was this candle retracing. This candle here where you're right into this, you're below it. I don't know that you would have been getting into it there. I was thinking getting in on this candle that retested back into that level. So either of these two, buying at 8:45 or 8:50 on the low on the put, 8:45, 8:50. This was already up at like 5 to 554. Yeah, well, 492. So this option, right at the open, it's hard to do $100 risk. It's just hard to do. So 5x4 maybe, hoping that it doesn't push back to this price at 380, and that would have been a move way back up here, which is technically going opposite of where you want it to go. and it is retesting, but it being a high wave candle, it did break down here. It gave us this direction, and I think it's a lot to ask for it to recover here and then keep on going up and have that kind of a sharp retest when there's still such a large open space in here that, you know, is just this massive gap. That it feels like we'll get into that if we come down and touch the 5 or somehow come down and touch the 21. You know, but still look to play this bullish. That may be a quick move down, but look to play this bullish because bullish is the edge here. But, you know, it did show us signs that it was rolling down today. So getting into puts, let's say somehow you got in, like, let's just say 6 by 5, because it, you know, once 5 by 6 maybe didn't work, you're just watching these prices. It's like, oh, it's holding at 6. It's holding at 6. Let me set up an order and get in at 6. Sure enough, 6 by 5 would have worked here. This was 920. So 920. Oh, wow. 920 was here. And it gave you nearly the same, like $1 off the entry from up here. That's really interesting because this looks like where it's starting to bounce, but it still had more room to go. And with our line in here, this would have been a really nice target to just play this. So from this price here, looking to go bearish, gosh, that's one of those things. It's like, you know, the edge, and it's kind of like, okay, I want it to go bullish. I want it to, you know, do that now. And it's like, no, it needs more retest. So 6 by 5 would have worked really nicely. Right down into our channel, probably getting in at 6, stop at 5, and getting out at 12 or maybe 12.50 if you are watching it, move right into that. It's obviously easier to have the order already sitting there at like 12 and just already getting filled there than watching it past 12 and get to 12.50. It's like, oh, it's still going, I'm going to get out now, and you miss it by the time you enter the trade. The high here was 12.40. And then it's like you're hoping that it's going to push down a little more, and it never did. You know, once it touched this line, it didn't really get there. Where this is today, I mean, you know, it could be here, it could be here. You know, it's like, it's however you draw it. Let me do this. Pause the video. You can see this wasn't the first one I did, but pause the video. You can grab these exact values. Let me see if I can grab this one. Okay, here's the next one. No. Was it the same one? I don't know. I'm opening these so you can copy the values. That's the same one. Sorry. Let me do this one. You can copy the values. So this is where I'm looking, you know, this is just where it's set up from the 31st to the 4th, you know, and then you turn on the right extension. Mine's not letting me like click on stuff. There we go. Turn on right extension, and then you get this to continue this way. So pause the video at each of those if you want to grab these, and just grab one of them and then just copy it and just kind of set it up about where it is visually. And again, if you're looking at a 5-minute normally, do it on a 5-minute. If you're looking at a 3-minute normally, do it on a 3-minute, and, you know, build this framework, because right now it's working. I don't know how long it's going to work. At least it's giving us some prices to target or prices to look for some interaction. High wave candle here, breaking down into a hammer here. Yeah, that's a great setup. Giving us a target here. Sure, that's okay when it's triangled like this, but I don't want to just get there. I want to keep going. I would have rather get up here, but obviously it didn't do that today. It actually pushed up a similar range to where it kind of opened up here. And this was, let's see, what measure it for me? No, not really. It was only like $7, $6 up, and then this was similar here from, you know, where we broke out here to here was another, well, it was more than $6, but what was this, 8 or something? Anyway, it gives you some framework to work in, and so I hope you're getting that kind of framework either from this or your own drawings to kind of see how things are moving. So, all right, we looked at the puts. Let's look at the calls. Hammer inside, you know, or inside-ish. Then starts to break out, comes back down, you know, moves up, comes back down, moves up, comes back down. All these make higher lows on the calls. It's like, oh, this should be getting higher. It should be, you know, retaining its premium. Nope, just went sideways. It came all the way back down, actually made slightly lower low from here. But all of this was just right at the $5 price, all of it. And so really having an entry at 5 by 4, you would have been into this early for a breakout. Had you waited for the breakout and tried to do like 6 by 5, I don't know that you would have been filled. It's possible just because there's such light volume on some of these that you would have been filled. if you just had an order sitting out. But it would have been a move from like 6 up to, this was part of the trial, probably back up to here, probably up to 9, 6 to 9. That would have been 3 hours. If you're in at 5 by 4, had you done that here, then you made 2R going from 5 to 7. And then over here, when the triangle is actually breaking out, don't have 7 as your target because it should move further. I mean, you could. That's 2R from 5. But have a target up at 9. That would have been 4R. And that would have been a really nice move, but you didn't have to get in here. It's okay to miss this. And with options, just wait for it to pull back to a similar price. What's really cool about this, and I'm going to zoom in on the day again here. This is what's really amazing with this, what it did today and how the prices moved. Normally, if I can draw this straight, normally you want to get in on the breakout and a stop below. This is a great consolidation. This is a great bounce right here. And you get in on this candle, this candle as it's moving up, or you wait for that candle to form and show that it's breaking out, and then you're in on like the next candle here, which is possible. You just have to look at what the prices are. Or if you have it set up and you don't get filled in your price, well, just wait. And it wasn't that long later that it came right back down here, and you would have been in here. And as it starts to, this is the best part about, maybe not the best, but this is a really great thing about this. It came back down here. Why would it bounce here? Who's looking to actually get in here? Well, this is the retest of this breakout or this bounce or whatever you're calling it. It comes back here. If you still have a low down, or I'm sorry, a close, not saying the right thing, sorry. If you have an entry here and a stop here, and you're actually getting in on this kind of a candle because of something that happened before, because of what happened in the past, you're getting in because of this, it really should get you in right here and not move too much further into this. Sometimes it does, sometimes it stops you out, but a lot of times it got the right setup here. And this is what's really cool, that this held, this actually held like, that's not a straight drawing. Okay, you can look to the right, then I can draw the right. This held all day. This pattern, once it got above that, came into it here, held it here, and really did hold it here. And so just on the day trade, that we stayed above this essentially, aside from it coming back in and giving that same entry. So this is the trade 5 by 4 up to 7. It's moved right into 2050. Get out of 2050. Don't hope that it's going to break out, and get to here. I mean, that's great if it does. Then it would form a double bottom, probably get a neckline retest, and then it should continue higher. Well, that didn't happen. That's too bullish for today, apparently. But that was a really nice move. And then similarly, once it's here and it gives you this kind of candle, just go bearish or look to get in. Let me get rid of some of this. Look to get in bearish here by here. And what do you get? After this candle forms, you get a retracement right in here. And so these candles, this is right around 11:30. Let's go back and look at the puts. 11:30. These options prices are horrible at 2025. 11:30 was like over here. Yeah, these didn't work. We need more volume. I'm just going to look at 2050 and see how pricey it is, because you're at the money. Yeah, that's too pricey for 11:30. I've been through here, and that sucks. Okay, 2040, because we already got down there in the day. Let's see if that does something. What happened? There we go. Looks like there's just light volume on the puts, which is a little bizarre. Maybe people don't think it's going to go that way, and people are loading up on calls. Could be. Okay, what time was it? The high here, 11:25 and 11:35. So 11:25 was nothing. No, there was nobody. 11:10 to 11:30. There's nobody buying at 11:25. So here, 11:35, we have a low at 12, right at $12. Okay, So getting in at 12, that's still such an expensive price. It moved up to 14. That was your 2R. It did that in 15 minutes. There we go. Okay. So going from 11:35 here in 15 minutes, it made it and gave you 2R. That's it. Because of this candle, you waited. You waited, what, half hour, 20 minutes, 25 minutes with the setup that you're just like, okay, I'm going to put out here. I'm going to have an entry here and a stop here. And by the way, had you set it up 12 by 11, the 11:05 candle, that was this candle, actually put in a low on this option just under 11. So 12 by 11 actually, we wouldn't have been below this low, technically. So that's still a close one. It's just because it's so expensive. We have to go a little further out and see what the 30 looks like. It's still just really, really light volume. That's just crazy. What about a big round number like 2000? It just doesn't. This still just has some 5-minute periods where there's just nothing. There's just such light volume. One share or one contract, two contracts. I don't like seeing it this light on volume. On puts or calls, it just seems like, okay, there's not as much going on. So maybe people are kind of staying away from it, thinking, oh wait, I don't know. This looks a little bizarre that we've got so many downtrend channels here. But again, zoomed in on a 5-minute, we are interacting with them. And so this was this Monday? The 4th. No, this was yesterday. Sorry. This was yesterday. Monday was this day. And we just keep interacting with these. If it's working, keep it on the chart. And then when it's not, we'll get rid of it. And if it's not, it still has plenty of these to move down through for this to roll over. If it's going to do that, this may still be relevant. If we start to break out, well, I'm going to draw some uptrend lines then. If I draw one now, there's not enough points to connect. We're not going up enough yet. Drawing channel. Oops. Why did it do that? Okay. Here's somewhat of an uptrend here. Let me just draw something and we'll just see if it fits, because I haven't even done this yet. Don't really like these angles. I don't have enough points. If I go like that, okay, I'm just dropping it in just to see what it looks like. Yeah, I'm cutting through all this just to get this low and this low and this low. I don't really like doing that without more points. Okay, so if we just look at like this, it gives us this range. Okay, I grab the pre-market, grab the high here, the high here. That gives me a high here that it rolls over from, and gives me a high here. So then actually, I can probably get that a little closer. Yeah, just like this. So I've got essentially this low, this high breaks out, gets above it. This high, this bounce, this high. Okay, this is actually working better than I thought. I'm going to duplicate this and just see that it give us some more guidance up, higher up. Comes really, really close to the price we ran into a high. And we opened up in here above it, came right back into it, tried to retest the high wave. So, okay, I don't like that this is red. I'm going to change it to, it's not going to let me hit it. Okay, I have to leave it red right now because it's not cooperating. I'll try and change the colors on that. It's a similar angle. It's not the same. The other thing you can do these is when you, well, sorry, let me show you what I do. I click on it, I do duplicate, then it gives me a new one, then I can double click it, and if I switch these numbers, so if I copy this one and paste it here, yeah, copy this, paste it here, and copy this and paste it here, and then delete the previous one. Or you can do a copy and a paste, and then a cut and a paste, and that will actually inverse it. So it'll turn a downtrend channel into an uptrend channel. And it's nice to do that to see if you get some sort of parallelogram sort of looking thing. And basically, it just gives you some more of the framework. So I know this is already getting crazy. I don't like having so many lines on here. I know I've got all of these in here in the low 2000s. It's interacted with those so well. So this would have given us something to work with. So again, tomorrow, could we go up? Could we go down? I'll draw a little bit of this. Actually, this is the other issue. I have to move it back within today's range. Otherwise, if I have this dot sitting way over here and there's literally nothing in this space, it means it's just going to snap. It's all going to move when pre-market or tomorrow's daily market. If some price prints over here, it may or may not snap to that or snap to something over here, and it'll skew what I've drawn here. So now that I've pulled these back into today's range and back here, it should stay in the same place tomorrow, and I can kind of have a look at that and see. But we'll see if we interact with it. I don't know. I feel like 2 days isn't quite enough for it to start working. I want to really be able to trade off that with more days. Even this, I had originally drawn this with the initial after hours move because of earnings, and then got into the highs, and then this day got into some of these, and just was able to line it up a little bit with essentially 3 days of data. Having multiple points in here for 2 days is okay. I would like a little more confirmation, and maybe trade that the next day and say, okay, if this is working, and that's why this would have worked, today, to buy here to bounce off this line, or at least enter the trade, and then would have been filled over here, just because that that confirmed it, what I'd already drawn in. So anyway, that's in hindsight a great way to have things set up. Again, this looks a little bit busy. We'll see what actually works as we continue to track this. But hope this helps. Spend a little more time doing a little more charting and looking at the moves. So hope this is making sense. This is Justin AMZN. Thanks.